in today's webinar. On behalf of the All India Bank Employees Association, I welcome all of you to today's lecture program. Today, it is the 23rd webinar organized by All India Bank Employees Association, celebrating the 52nd anniversary of the bank nationalization. कॉमरेड, राष्ट्रीयकरण के बाद आज 52 वर्ष के अंदर जिस तरीके से बैंकों की शाखाओं में विस्तार हुआ, बैंक कर्मचारियों की संख्या में विस्तार हुआ, आम जनमानस को बैंकों से जोड़ा। जहां देश के अंदर मात्र 8,200 शाखाएं थी, आज 1,56,329 शाखाएं हैं। रूरल के अंदर कोई शाखा ही नहीं हुआ करती थी। There is no single branch in rural, and today is 52,463. Private sector, earlier it was nil, today it is 40%. As regards our deposit is concerned, in 1947 it is 1019, in 1969 it is 5,000, in 2020 it is 138 lakhs crore rupees. जहां बैंकों के अंदर गरीब आदमी का प्रवेश वर्जित था, जो नहीं आ सकते थे, आज आम आवाम जितने भी लोग आज हिंदुस्तान के हैं, आज उन्होंने आकर के बैंकों से जुड़े, बैंकों में खाता खुला और उन्होंने अपनी आर्थिक आवश्यकताओं को बैंकों के माध्यम से पूरा किया। स्थिति यहां तक आई कि आज खुद हमने भी इस बात का नारा दिया, बैंकिंग शुड बी फंडामेंटल राइट ऑफ ऑल द सिटीजन। उसके साथ साथ जिस तरीके से हमने सरकार की योजनाओं को पूरा किया, देश के अंदर हमने किसानों को लोन दिया, हर चीज के लिए हमने लाखों कुटीर उद्योगों को, एसएमई सेक्टर को, शिक्षित बेरोजगारों को, विद्यार्थियों को, जहां बैंकों के माध्यम से जो लोन दिए गए, आज देश का विकास हुआ और उस देश के विकास से आज स्थिति यहां तक आ गई। देश की जितनी भी सरकार की जितनी भी योजनाएं, आज उनको बैंकों के माध्यम से, चाहे वो वृद्धावस्था पेंशन हो, चाहे विद्यार्थियों की स्कॉलरशिप हो, चाहे वो नरेगा में हो, मनरेगा में हो, आज बैंकों के माध्यम से आज उनको पूरा किया जा रहा। कोई प्राइवेट बैंक ऐसा नहीं है जहां इन योजनाओं को देता हो। पूरे हिंदुस्तान के अंदर पेंशन अगर आज दी जा रही है, इट इज ओनली द गवर्नमेंट बैंक, पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक्स हु आर प्रोवाइडिंग दिस सर्विस। नोटबंदी के दौरान कौन इस बात को नहीं जानता कि आनंद फानन के अंदर रात को 8 बजे घोषणा कर दी जाती है कि देश के अंदर नोटबंदी कर दी। दूसरे दिन भीड़ बैंकों के सामने आकर के खड़ी हो गई और उस भीड़ को किस तरीके से बैंक कर्मचारियों ने एक अपनी एबिलिटी के हिसाब से जो आज उनको संभाला, जो पैसा था आज उनका पैसा किस तरीके से एक्सचेंज किया, और उसमें कितने बैंक कर्मचारी, यहां तक कि बैंक कर्मचारियों की डेथ भी हो गई, लेकिन सरकार की तरफ से कहीं इस तरीके का नहीं कि हमने आज सरकार ये कहे कि हमने हमारे इस काम के लिए हम आपको एडिशनल कोई वर्कफोर्स हम आपको प्रोवाइड करा रहे हैं। मैंने प्रधानमंत्री को विदेशों से बैठे हुए ये सुना है कि गरीबों के खाते आज 38 करोड़ खाते आज बैंकों के माध्यम से खोले हैं। किसने खोले हैं? ये पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक ने खोले। पब्लिक सेक्टर बैंक किस तरीके से आज बैंकों के अंदर जो खाते खोल करके आम जनमानस को आर्थिक आवश्यकताओं की पूर्ति के लिए, आज चाहे कोरोना का पीरियड हो, चाहे कैसा भी हो, कर्फ्यू के दौरान भी बैंक कर्मचारी अपने शाखाओं में जाकर, कोरोना के दौरान भी आज उन्होंने जो प्रधानमंत्री द्वारा, जो सरकार द्वारा जो राशि प्रदाय उनको दी जाती थी, आज उसका भुगतान किया, जिससे कि आज हर आदमी को क्या उनका पैसा मिला। इन सारी चीजों के बाद सरकार इन बैंकों का निजीकरण करने के ऊपर आमादा है। पिछले 30 साल से बैंकिंग सुधार के नाम से जो एक सरकार ने एक रीति नीति बनाई कि हम सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बैंकों का हम निजीकरण करना चाहते हैं, हम उसके खिलाफ में लड़ रहे हैं। पिछले 30 साल में हमने 40 हड़ताल की हो यूनाइटेड फोरम के माध्यम से। अभी मार्च के अंदर 4 दिन तक बैंक बंद रहे, वो इसी बात को लेकर के। इसमें केवल बैंक कर्मचारियों की भलाई नहीं है, बैंक कर्मचारियों का अपना वेज रिवीजन था, वो बैंक कर्मचारियों का वेज रिवीजन हो गया, लेकिन निजीकरण आम जनमानस की आवश्यकता है, आम जनता की आवश्यकता है। क्या ये सरकार ये चाहती है कि आज फिर से सेठ साहूकारों के सामने आज आम आदमी जाकर के फिर से वो आज उसी उसमें चला जाए? लेकिन सरकार इस बात के लिए ये है कि कैसे भी बैंकों का, सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बैंकों का निजीकरण किया जाए। यही नहीं, जब वित्त सचिव से पूछा गया तो क्योंकि अभी पिछले बजट के अंदर ये घोषणा की वित्त मंत्री ने कि 2 बैंकों का निजीकरण किया जाएगा, 2 सार्वजनिक क्षेत्र के बैंकों का निजीकरण किया जाएगा। कौन से बैंकों का निजीकरण होगा इसका तो नाम नहीं लिया, लेकिन 2 बैंकों का किया जाएगा, एक एलआईसी के इंश्योरेंस का किया जाएगा। आज उसके बाद बैंक कर्मचारी बड़े उद्वेलित, बैंक कर्मचारी काम करते हुए कोई बैंक आज न पहले घाटे में था न आज घाटे में है। ये सरकार की जो रीति नीति है, मैं कहना चाहता हूं पीछे भी आज कांग्रेस सरकार के दौरान भी जनार्दन पुजारी ने लोन मेले लगाए, इंदिरा गांधी के बर्थडे के ऊपर 60 लोन दिए गए और फिर देवीलाल जी ने आकर के उनको माफ कर दिया। इसका पैसा कहां से पैसा आज उनको माफ कर दिया। आज हम सरकार के निजीकरण के खिलाफ में हम खड़े हुए हैं। Comrade, keeping these things in mind, AIBEA has organized this month-long webinars. Many leaders have spoke our webinar and could get a lot of information from them. Yesterday, we got a lot of information about the privatization of the defense sector, and today there was a demonstration throughout black badge wearing was also there. Today, we will be dealing with the entire financial sector. Banks, LIC, general insurance, regional rural banks, cooperative banks, all are under the attack. Even RBI is being weakened. Hence, we need a total picture. To speak to us on this issue, we have today Comrade TAPAN SEN, the General Secretary of CITU, Central of Indian Trade Union. Comrade TAPAN SEN is a senior leader of the trade union movement in our country today. He was the worker in the Steel Authority of India. Due to involvement and the interest in the trade union, he became the leader of the Steel Workers Federation. He sacrificed his job, resigned the job, and became a full-time trade unionist. For the last 10 years, he is the General Secretary of CITU, and he was also a member of the Parliament in Rajya Sabha from 2006 to 2018. He is also a Politburo member of the CPIM. Comrade TAPAN SEN is frontline leader of the present united joint struggle against the government and the people anti-labor policy. We are very happy that despite his busy schedule, he agreed to speak our webinar today. I have a great pleasure to welcome him and invite him to give him a lecture on attack in the financial sector and our task. Over to Comrade TAPAN SEN.
Thank you, Comrade Mahesh Mishra ji, Comrade Venkatachalam, Comrade Rajan Nagar, and my other comrades of AIBEA for inviting me in this webinar. And as such, I have not come to give you input. AIBEA itself, the biggest organization of the bank employees in the country, are itself a treasure of input. Rather, in our trade union movement, when we take up the bank issue before the entire working class and the people at large, we get input from you, the bank employees organizations, who are operating among the bank employees movement. and gathered informations and input and its analysis too. And that's why, and on that analysis and approach, we are totally on the same page. So as a trade union activist, I believe more than giving an input, even Comrade Mahesh Mishra ji, his welcome address, the manner he described, what does it mean by a nationalist bank for the people? He has given a lot of information, a lot of data. So it is important that I joined your webinar to express my total commitment and involvement and solidarity to the challenges being faced by the entire trade union movement and the bank employees movement in particular, against the barbarous, atrocious onslaught called privatization of the country's entire financial sector. Bank privatization is only a part of that. The entire financial sector, which is still now being regulated and controlled by the government, by the state, are being targeted for outright privatization. And it is a total paradigm shift towards a barbarous and atrocious regime so far as not only the people are concerned, not only bank employees are concerned, but also the country's national economic future. Everything is at peril, is at stake. The manner the government is going ahead, one by one, in its desperate move for all-out privatization. It is not merely banks and financial sector. Not even a segment of economy, industry is there which are not attack of privatization. You have seen today a national protest day by all the central trade unions, of which you are also an integral part, against the Essential Defense Service Ordinance, articulated by this Modi government only to push through its atrocious onslaught on the defense production sector of the country, and thereby making our defense production requirement a field of profit by the private sector profiteers. And so far as defense is concerned, hardly a few private Indian companies can mint profit out of that. It was basically aimed at benefiting the multinational defense production armament producing companies who are having their house in America, in Europe, in France, practically the metropolitan capitalist countries. To benefit them, defense sector privatization, very few Indian corporates can take care of that charge. They have the capability of doing it. And our final conspiracy is to make countries' defense preparedness dependent on the foreign powers. It's a total conspiracy of imperialists. Similarly, in the financial sector, their aggressive move for privatization is also aimed at, because that is the lifeline of the entire economy. The whole neoliberal policies, which actually initiated a paradigm shift in 1991 on our approach towards economic growth and development, from a dirigiste regime to a totalitarian regime, aggressive regime, exclusive of the people, only for benefiting a handful of corporate capitalist lobby. That was the whole philosophy of the neoliberalism, and that was mainly governed, it's a phenomena globally, by international finance capital. So finance capital plays a dominant role. And here in the India, in our country, the house of finance capital, till now, majority, overwhelming majority, the house of the entire finance capital is basically with the nationalized banks and nationalized financial institutions in the insurance, both life and general, including the Reserve Bank of India playing a role of a central bank. These are the edifices on which the finance capital resides. But the international finance capital wants them to be out of the state's control, government control. That was the desire of the international finance capital under the era of neoliberalism. And that's why they are pushing through. I particularly want to congratulate AIBA and their fellow travelers in the United Bank Employees Movement, other organizations too. The speed with which at 1991 June this policy was initiated, banks would have been privatized long back. It is the Narasimhan Committee, the first ever committee which was appointed almost along with the initiation of the neoliberalism. Although it was introduced in 91 in India Parliament through a policy statement, actually the whole exercise started right from the second part of the 80s. Already the process has started, which has led the country to a severe financial crisis, so far as foreign exchange reserve is concerned, and which practically pushed the country's economy to a paradigm shift through neoliberalism. But it could not be done only because the bank employees movement fought inch by inch during this period. From 91 onwards, Narasimhan Committee's atrocious recommendations and followed up by many other committees. There are so many committees are operating in the field that could not be executed so effectively towards full privatization of the banking system because the bank employees movement are on the field. More than, I believe, around 48 strikes only bank employees staged during the entire period till today, along with responding to all national level calls by the Central Trade Union. Earlier by sponsoring committee, when INTUC and BMS was not part of that, till I think 12 or 13 general strike, and followed by thereafter when they also joined, another 6-7 strike has taken place. So all these 20 odd national level general strike plus their own action, the number of strike, it appears more than 50, and only by the bank employees. And similar struggle was there seen in the other financial sectors also. It is because of that, fighting for inch by inch, the situation has so developed that till now, the public sector bank are in public sector, till now. We don't know how long we will be able to retain that position, but we are confident we cannot give them a walkover. And precisely this is the trade union perspective in today's financial sector privatization drive, which is an integral part of all-round privatization, desperate privatization move by the Modi government towards embracing the entire economy. It is manufacturing, it is servicing, it is mine mineral sector. The numerous legislations and enabling legislations was passed during this period to facilitate this desperate move of all-out privatization, where state will only be the facilitator, for the brutal, barbarous profit of the corporates, and the people will be thrown to more and more miseries. The kind of crisis today the global capitalism has been engulfed in. The Indian economy is also in a similar level of crisis, or deepening crisis. In this kind of a situation, these, along with the crisis, the much more desperation and aggressiveness is increasing every day. And when on the second wave of COVID, people are dying like flies for want of oxygen, the finance minister shamelessly airing her view that our program of privatization, including banking sector privatization, are on track. This is the extreme shamelessness and barbarism of the present rulers. And let us not take, please, comrade, for God's sake, let us not take it personally that it is Modi or Sitaraman or such and that. It is the capital, the monopoly capital, in league with the imperialist capital, are exercising their dictum on their political agents who are in the government. And that's why, not only in our country, globally, if we see, in the face of this deepening crisis, the capitalist class are choosing the extreme right-wing forces in the governance. Everywhere they are not succeeding because people are also not keeping mum. But the push is there because at this juncture, this global capitalist, monopoly capitalism, imperialism, of whom our Indian corporates as an integral part, they cannot be differentiated, separated from them. That was the new era of situation. There they are trying to throw their entire weight on these extreme right-wing forces who have least respect on democracy, which has least express of inclusive economics. And so the attack is so barbarous today. So on the 52nd anniversary of the bank nationalization year, when you are holding this webinar, I think that's the change in the scenario has to be understood collectively by all of us and carry this understanding to the mass of the employees and common workers outside the banking and financial sector. Their special attention or focus on the financial sector is because it is this finance capital, international finance capital, who are ruling the roost in the global economy. And Indian finance capital must fall in full in line in this barbarous, brutal exercise of power in the interest of the capitalist class. And that's why I think, even if we see the Indian context, when the country's GDP is going minus 10%, that is no additional wealth is created in the country. During the same identical period, the 100 billion Indian billionaires could increase their wealth by more than 35 to 40%. This is the perversion in the whole economic process. This is the sadistic perversion with which the country is being looted. And financial sector privatization is one of the important instrument and tool in their hand to loot countries' resources desperately. And here, that's why they are pushing through this paradigm shift. Comrades, when bank nationalization was there, how before and after bank nationalization, how the country's banking sector expanded towards more inclusiveness in the whole economic operation. We know. Data you are having. Just now you have given the data, the number of branches, which was there in 69, with no rural branches at all, has increased manifold. Just now, Ms. Raji has given the figure. I don't like to repeat. I also do have the same figure with me. How it has increased, not only that, their share in the rural areas increased. There was a quantum jump because earlier there was no rural branches. There was a quantum jump. And the whole philosophy was there. It was under compulsion. The then time, 69, when the bank was nationalized. And around same time, financial LI insurance sector is also come under state control. Around same time. Around same time, coal sector, the mineral sector, they came under government control. That was a period in our country. It is not that some government or some prime minister felt that it is needed and let us do it. No. At that time, there was a notable political situation where one party rule in Indian governance is coming to an end, 67 onwards. When that ending of one party rule was facilitated by a rousing tide of the working class, struggle of the working class, a rising tide of the struggle of the other segment of the toiling people. That facilitated that change in the political correlation. And that forced, created a serious division within the Indian ruling class, the capitalist class, that forced a contradiction between them. And the necessity that post-independence, further expansion of the Indian economy horizontally, which was blockaded at every moment by the private banking system, the private insurance segment, then the mines and minerals, who are the important raw materials of the manufacturing industry, under private control. It was becoming a roadblock that necessitated as a whole, with the contradiction being developing within the ruling polity, that facilitated, along with the struggle of ours, facilitated nationalization of bank almost around the time, the insurance sector and the mineral sector in particular. All the three was very crucially important for expansion of Indian industrialization horizontally, not vertically, meaning thereby that Indian base of industrialization has to be ensured through a growth of the small and medium sectors of the economy, industry. Without that, neither employment nor thing is possible. Bank nationalization itself has promoted employment generation in a big way. But even beyond that, much beyond that, I believe around 8 lakh, 9 lakh new employment was generated post-nationalization only in banking sector, maybe little more. But during the same period till today, if we take note of the expansion of the small and medium sector, different services, which ultimately got access to credit by the banks and the growth in those sectors, if we take note, it is 10 times more that bank has generated. So that was the yeoman service given by the entire financial sector to country's growth, employment generation, and the present economic strength that where we have launched today. Second aspect, that the whole concept of priority sector lending which was absolutely absent during the private days when it came here, that directly benefited, ensuring a protection for Indian agriculture and a support to them for further growth in a very big way. And besides the MSME sector, and democratized horizontally the credit flow, not for killing big fish, killing the other smaller fish and grow in the economic process. That is what is the classical capitalism does. In the operation of the classical capitalism, that did and political correlation, the unrest that was there, along with our struggle, which facilitated nationalization process, has created that environment which finally benefited the Indian national economy in a very big way and brought the Indian economy to the strength and power where it is standing now. In power sector, in different other sector, in the state level, direct government investment, all taken together facilitated the expansion of the Indian industries and services, and the economy also started growing bigger and bigger. That is precisely the service that the then period has rendered. And in this struggle, the service, Indian working class movement, employees movement has a major role. We must feel confident and proud for that. Today, that is under attack. And in a country like India, such horizontal expansionary, pro-people expansionary process, which is being facilitated by the banking sector, nationalized banking sector and nationalized financial sector. LIC also played a very, very important role in funding the planning process expenses. Every year, the kind of earning out of earning, they have sent the money there. Is all taken together. The insurance sector, which was an essential integral part of the industrial economy, servicing, could develop, could grow, and finally, they expanded horizontally to ensure in the respective business occupying the major share of the entire business. As in the banking sector till today, same is in the insurance sector, not merely in life. They are the 90% shareholder of country's life insurance. Despite mushrooming of so many insurance or life insurance organizations with foreign collaboration, so many. But still now they are mastering the majority, overwhelming majority, around 80 to 85 to 90% of the insurance. But in the general insurance also, servicing different industrial goods, different equipments, and different other business. In the general insurance also, till today, they are the major shareholder. They are the major shareholder. Even the country's health system, that is again another perversion. The government must directly give the health network, strengthen the health network, give basic health to its people, not through insurance. But government has chosen the path of insurance following USA. USA, the health service pattern is insurance run pattern, unlike UK. They tried to follow and they are introducing, but even the burden of that so-called Ayushman Bharat, which supplies some facility to the mass of the people, health facility. The entire burden, again, let me say, entire burden are being taken by the country's nationalized banking sector. They don't have return, so let them be done by the banking sector. Your Jan Dhan Yojana, then numerous direct benefit transfer which this government introduced. Till now, everything is being managed by the almost more than 90% by the public sector banking institutions. And what is their delivery? Just now, Maheshji told, at the time of demonetization, the kind of pressure the bank employees have to face. That is another criminal act by the government. In the name of curbing black money, they practically whitened all the black money which were at their disposal. Post demonetization, the total amount of currency demonetized has come back almost at the same level, rather a little bit more than that. And that shows that the entire cash black money, although black money in cash is a very small segment of the actual black money, even the entire thing was whitened. But the whole burden was being faced by our bank employees, day in and day out, and without much hazard to the people. There are certain complaints, but generally there was not that much complaint, because they bore the brunt of the entire pressure. And then the direct benefit transfer, Jan Dhan Yojana, and many other welfare schemes, including pensions, are being operated through the banking system, and more than 90% of that burden are being taken by the PSBs. That's the situation. And these need to be told to the people. In today's situation, as a trade union activist, I'll rather prefer to deal more on the task part of it. Because what does it mean by privatization, you all know. I'm just quickly mentioning some of the aspects. But another aspect needs to be exposed and taken to the people. It is not merely their decision of bank privatization, but also making an enabling arrangement for quick pushing them to the red and then justify this privatization process. They know that to the common people, they may not accept the logic of the privatization. So create an enabling situation. And for that, they are legislating one after another laws. Such one criminal act is the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which the corporate defaulters are being allowed to digest the bigger part of the loan they have taken and minted money profit out of that through the legally through the Insolvency Bankruptcy Code procedure. Now it is legal. Earlier there are certain systems. There are many criticisms for that system. Surface Act, say. Even that regime also, the creditors, that is the bankers, have some teeth in dealing with the bankruptcy. But the entire teeth is being taken away by the insolvency bankruptcy procedure. They will appoint a resolution professional, and the committee of creditor ultimately has to accept whatever the resolution professionals ultimately recommends. And the number of cases now being dealt at the insolvency bankruptcy procedure under that procedure through National Company Law Tribunal, if we see, the banks are being compelled to go for a haircut, that is doing away with, leaving their claim on. They're ranging from 70 to 90% of the loan taken. The single example, I think the Vidikan one, glaring example, a 35,000 crore loan portfolio has been settled only, and bank got only 2,900 something crore, 35,000 crore loan portfolio. And these cases are increasing every day as the NCLT is overactive. And during that process, besides IBC process, then government is going in for writing of debts. In fact, the entire process is put in place, a process of a transfer of public money to corporate pockets, a direct loot under the legal legitimacy. They legitimize through enactment the entire process. And I am sorry, I felt myself guilty sometimes. Some of those criminal laws are passed when I was also in parliament. And I saw nobody to oppose that except the red flag brigade inside the parliament. Most of the cases, most of those criminal legislations, particularly relating to financial sector, mineral sector, it is not sin. So-called opposition is stopped today, ultimately allowed by voice vote to be passed. Only the red flag contingent inside the parliament asking for division. Some of those division I have also asked in your IBC code and other thing, and we got defeated inside the parliament, and that loot has been legalized and legitimized. So, comrade, that is the situation today. And they have no other go. But by this, they are not being able to come out of the crisis they are facing. It has become a kind of cancerous crisis that was boiling out. Every year they are announcing that next year GDP will be better. But it is continuing because it is the tendency. The more the loot is going on, the more people are getting impoverished. The market, consumption market is getting squeezed and squeezed and squeezed. And the capitalism depends on the market. Their productive capacity depends on the market. And that market is getting squeezed. Whatever money is being made, it is basically through speculative process. And privatization of bank, this speculative process, this, so far as the bank's involvement is concerned, this speculative process, the banking sector, only the private banks are playing with. PSBs are still not allowed to play that role. They would have played that role. They might have been allowed to play that role. But you people are there as the watchman standing at the gate of the banking system. Your bank employees organization, AIBEA and others. You are there as a watchman. You must continue to play that role of the watchman so that PSB is not allowed to enter into the speculative domain by any change of management. I think that need to be resisted. And that is one of the crucial role that trade union movement in the banking sector, with the full support of the entire trade union movement, must play. I list this crucial important task. We cannot allow it to go into speculative domain. And secondly, premised on which we could develop our task in the banking sector, I believe that it is running into rough weather. It is not so easy. Overall global recession is creating havoc in the life and death, life and livelihood of the people. But at the same time, it has created a situation by which there are dearth of takers. Howsoever criminality this Modi government may promote, it is very difficult the burden of NPA along with the liability. Even the two banks they are targeting, having a liability, along with that liability they have to take. Right now, owning up the entire liability of the public sector banks and then make it free for free sale. They are yet to come to that stage, but I don't rule out the possibility. The whole crisis in the system are making the capitalist class more and more barbarous, devoid of running down all camouflages. Just remember when 92, 93, 94, when bank privatization was talked about by Dr. Manmohan Singh or similar players in the economy, they used to speak that they require autonomy, there needs to be more efficiency, and so privatization is required. Nowadays, they don't speak about that. At that time, that was a camouflage to misguide the segment of people, particularly the middle class, upper middle class people. And at that time, the trade union movement's own experience is that we have to fight a lot to convince the people we represent while carrying them to struggle. Because the neoliberalism and its presentation with a glossy picture, efficiency, etc., initially created a dent among those who are a part of our struggle initially. But through experience and through continuity in our intervention, again, I can thank especially AIBEA and their comrades in the entire banking front, other unions, that with a continuity, you have intervened, the trade union movement has intervened. Along with the sectoral actions in the banking sector, financial sector, national level action was also planned and continued with a continuity. And gradually that understanding was developed, realization started developed. And I must say, your last strike, it is historic in the sense, 2-day strike. You have many other strikes. But last strike, it was historical in the sense that people, non-banking people, I am not telling banking employees, non-banking people was highly vocal in support of the striking employees of the bank. Last 2-day strike. We achieved that is no mean realization, achievement for the entire banking sector movement. We must keep our continuity in our intervention. It has become possible because of the continuity of our intervention in the trade union movement. And again, let me tell you, from the day one of the joint initiative against 1990, from 1991 onwards, when sponsoring committee was formed, AIBEA is one of the partner in that. Banking employees movement are one of the partners in that joint front, both sectorally and at national level. And that continuity of intervention could develop the realization among the people. And that's why I must say the last 2-day strike was more than history, because never before we have seen so much vocal people are speaking about in support of the striking banking employees. So I think that was the major task, major weapons with us, which will give us confidence and which will carry us to a structure of defiance and resistance against what they are planning to do. It will not be easy. The more pressure we continue to build, along with exposing the loot that is being promoted through IBC, along with the loot they are promoting by increasingly every year writing off a part of the NPAs. That is a free dole, free lunch for the entire corporate capitalist class. For their personal gain, they are making out of the money. You can expose the cases. They are available in public domain. In Videocon, again, let me cite Videocon, that 35,000 crore was settled, loan portfolio was settled by 2,922 crores because according to the resolution professionals, this is the money by liquidating the assets of Videocon, some 2,300 crores can be realized, and the Twin Star company is offering 2,992 crores. That is the highest level with which this bankruptcy can be settled by transferring entire Videocon setup to the Twin Star company. Who knows? It may be a part of them on a other name. Among that part, what kind of fraud that has been engineered, that among that Videocon's asset, there was a 25% share Videocon is having in the Rabah oil field, which is producing daily 30,000 barrels of oil, petrol equivalent. And yet they are telling daily, that was rate of production. Out of that, 25% is the share of Videocon. And yet they are telling that by liquidating Videocon asset, you can get only 2,300 crore. So it is a better deal when Twin Star is offering 2,992 crore for settling the dispute. And that haircut was imposed on the bank. And side by side, they have started a new operations. While the NCLT process is on, if the two parties, the debtor party and the biggest player who are ready to take over the debtor's asset by paying some money to the banks, to the creditors, if they can have an out-of-court settlement, then that will, out of NCLT settlement, that will be allowed to them. And some cases are being allowed to be done. And in that direction, again, the Modi government is planning for the amendment of the IBC Act. Again, they are planning. I think you should inquire it in much more detail and raise your voice. Side by side, the looting of the public wealth through bank and the financial sector, that needs to be exposed before the people. And on that, you have to take the lead. Entire trade union movement will be with you. And then a general resistance can be developed. And it will not be easy. Howsoever autocratic and authoritarian this Modi government can become, they are gradually dismantling many democratic principles and procedures of government. In fact, they are the political expression of the increasing crises of the capitalism. Even in Indian context, the political expression is more and more authoritarianization of all kinds of governance, the economic governance, the political governance, and the societal governance as well, by playing divisive role. So this kind of loot they are promoting by bulldozing all opposition. If a public opinion can be developed, definitely they can be nailed down. And we may be able to save, we may be able to resist, and we must be able to resist. So in that should be the perspective before the trade union movement. The joint trade union movement have also adapted that understanding in their consecutive declaration, where specifically it was noted that the total non-cooperation and defiance we have to apply in the days to come, while preparing for a multiple day strike action in the days to come against these authoritarian regime, which includes bank privatization move, which includes LIC IPO move, which includes general insurance privatization move, all targeted the entire financial sector, and also which includes defense production, which includes mineral production, which includes many other important segments of the economy. towards total privatization at a throwaway price. So these, the real face of these need to be taken to the people. And I think the bank employees movement, quite a mature movement, I believe, in country's economic scenario, trade union field, quite a mature movement. They have to be made the front runners in carrying those exposure campaign to the mass of the people, that it will be suicidal for the entire national economy if banks are allowed to privatize. And I am sure if that kind of zeal, initiative, if we all together has take up with all seriousness, we will be able to save, we'll be able to defend, we'll be able to defy, we'll be able to finally resist the whole game plan of selling out everything, including the financial sector of the economy. It is not an impossible task. And with that confidence, we have to go. Creating that confidence, generating that confidence in the movement and among the people are the task of the advanced segment of the country's trade union movement. The bank employees movement is one of the front runner in that advanced segment of the industry, the movement. So we can do it, comrade. Let us try together. All the central trade unions who are in the joint front, there are some vacillations also. It is but natural. There will be vacillation. More the crisis will dominate. The more the authoritarian measures are being taken, there will be vacillation even in the joint front. I don't rule out. But if we remain together, who are driven by a clear ideology of class struggle and dominance and resistance, defiance and resistance, we do belong to the same community, both the organization as CITU and AIBEA, I think we will be able to do. We can do, despite all vacillation. We'll be able to save our defense production network. We'll be able to save our financial sector. We'll be able to save many of our other manufacturing segments. In some of the industries, comrade, workers are taking a position. They are continuously agitating and told there may be a deal, may be signed by Modi and the private purchaser for any industry, but we will not allow them to enter the plant. Let us see how they allow, how they come. And there are events, comrade, during the process of last 3, 4, 5 years. There are events in many industries, in Nalco, in steel, in bridge and roof, many public sector companies, where the prospective bidders has gone for inspection and workers have driven them out, reached them up to railway station and told, next time if you come back, we'll leave you on the railway track, not merely railway station. That assertiveness, aggressive assertiveness has to be generated in the movement. And we are sure if we work together, we can do it. With these few words, I think the whole purpose of the financial sector privatization is governed by that philosophy and being pushed through by the international finance capital, who are ruling the roost in the neoliberal capitalist order throughout the globe. It's an integral part. Second thing, the political, those who are in the political governance of the country, they are merely agents. The operators are the big corporate capitalist class. That need to be realized and identified. Otherwise, the defense and resistance could not be developed. It is the ultimate, most, the extreme right-wing force they are promoting, who are promoting a crime in the society also, besides looting and plundering the national economy. It is their brand of philosophy and politics that also need to be exposed before the people, and then only a overall resistance can be developed. And the trade union movement, in particular the advanced segment of the trade union movement, of which you are an integral part, have to take up the task. And we are sure we'll be able to meet the challenge that is before us, and together we'll work, and together we'll succeed. Thank you, comrade, for the opportunity given to me.
Thank you, Comrade Tapan. It was a very nice lecture, very educative, and also giving us a lot of inspiration to further unite and fight. And definitely, I can assure you from AIBA that we shall continue our efforts to fight and to unitedly fight. And I can also assure you from AIBA that in the national level, central trade union struggles also, we are with you all. We shall always not lag behind. We'll be part of the common struggles also. And one thing very nicely you told, that some people are portraying our struggle as anti-Modi or anti-Nirmala Sitharaman. Very rightly we explained that, because in AIBA, we have fought Jawaharlal Nehru, we have fought Lal Bahadur Shastri, we have fought Indira Gandhi, Rajiv Gandhi, we have fought all successive governments. Now this government is attacking us, so we will fight them. That is AIBA's line. Whichever government will attack the bank employees and banking industry and the people, we shall fight back. That exactly, we agree with you. And we are very thankful to you for your time and the precious advice to us. We have been benefited. Thank you very much. Now I request Comrade Mahesh Misra to propose a vote of thanks. Mahesh ji.
Comrade. Dava Tapan Sen, you have really elaborated and in detail. You have enlightened all these issues, and rather AIBA, my General Secretary, has already given the indication and given this particularly direction that this AIBA is fighting against this all looting and all this particularly government anti-people, anti-employees problems. Now I thank on behalf of the All India Bank Employees Association that you came in a very busy schedule. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And before we close, comrades, again, the usual announcement about tomorrow. Tomorrow, there'll be a very good, interesting lecture in our webinar on the changed labor laws. What is the inner meaning of the new labor laws? And that webinar will be addressed by Professor of Law, Comrade Babu Matthew from the National Law University from Bangalore. He is a very expert in that subject, and so he will be dealing with that. That is very important today. Despite all the trade unions fighting, government has changed it, and so we are going to be impacted. So that issue will be tomorrow discussed, because change in labor law is also part of the liberalization policy. So kindly come back to us tomorrow, same time, 7 o'clock tomorrow evening. Tomorrow is Saturday, 4 o'clock. Tomorrow evening, 4 o'clock. By 3:30, you can join, and we look back. We look to invite you all for tomorrow's seminar. And with the permission of our President, Comrade Rajan Nagar, today we come to the conclusion of this program today. Thank you very much and good night.
Goodbye.
Thank you very much, comrade.
ভালো বলেছেন গৌরব,
ভালো বলছি,
খুব ভালো বলেছেন।
আচ্ছা।